Yo, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children over the age of 18. Welcome to episode 26 of the Smack Talk Wrestling Podcast. I'm here once again, joined with the greatest gamer on Twitch. We got Angel A-OK Gaming. What's going on, my guy?
Nothing much. Been good. Thanks for having me again.
All right. And then, of course, King of the Yugis, King of the Wrestling Trolls. It is the one and only Gonzo. How you doing today, bro?
I'm actually doing really good. I'm just bringing Caleb Williams into this, so that way his pink love on this refractor can bring us some good fortune as we move forward, not only with our podcast and our streaming, but also to save me from my horrific anger and animosity that I have with all of Chicago sports teams these days.
Hey, man, this is good, man. Caleb Williams looked good. He actually looked like a quarterback. So, I mean,
I'm
who
blowing
knows?
this all out of proportion because he completed a 3rd and 12. And for every Chicago fan that's ever watched the Bears for the last 20 to 30 years, the fact that we have to celebrate a man completing a 3rd and 12 bullet to the chest, it's as if we have, might as well just get the statue ready for him now. Competent quarterback play.
You didn't want to have the screen on 3rd and 12?
It's either that or the draw. I mean, it's one of the two, or the Trubisky special, which would be the 8-yard curl route, and then of course get tackled with 2 yards to go. So I mean,
The Justin Fields 10-step drop and then have the
fumble, strip sack. I mean, you name it. There's just so many things. Or Jay Cutler just snapping his thumb in 10 different locations. I mean, so
Jay Cutler is the greatest quarterback in Bears history right now. So
wrong, Rex Grossman.
Not for long.
Just saying. All right. Well, this is a wrestling show. We can save the sports talk for our other podcasts that's in future. But a lot to digest from this past week in pro wrestling. But before we get there, for first-time viewers or listeners, this is a WWE podcast / live stream. We go live every Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're a little early today, but it's okay. Close enough, right? So once again, we discussed the past week in the WWE. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. And the Bloodline once again dominates storylines. We got the return of the true tribal chief. He returned to SmackDown this past week. But before we talk full on Roman Reigns, let's talk about the rest of the Bloodline. So we have the tag team title situation. Jacob Fatu's in a walking boot. He got injured after that SummerSlam spot, if you guys remember, when he jumped onto the announce table. His timetable for his return is indefinite. That's the official statement from WWE. It seems like it's legit. They're keeping him far away from Roman Reigns because, when he does come back, he's going to be the force to help Solo Sikoa because, Solo Sikoa has just been buried this past week, but we'll get into it. But do you guys know what the status is on title defenses when it comes to the tag team championships right now? Anybody? No.
So men's and women's, because you did not.
We're
specify.
talking Bloodline. I did specify it's on a Bloodline segment, so we're talking about the tag team champions, the Bloodline, in their defenses, which Jacob Fatu is one half of the tag team champions. So, do you guys know what's going on with Jacob Fatu right now and how the WWE is going to address the tag team title situation on SmackDown? How do they defend it? Yeah. If they defend it, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's just a shared title between the faction at this point, right?
Yeah, so they're doing the fabulous Freebird rule, or nowadays the New Day rule, or most recently the Usos. So anyone in the Bloodline can defend it as long as Solo's the one who chooses right now. So, but Jacob not being there is really detrimental to the storyline. I feel like the way things would have shaked up on SummerSlam would have been a lot different, as opposed to Solo having to take that spot when Roman Reigns ultimately returned. So I don't know how that's going to go. I don't know how, the Pirate's going to defend the tag team title from him because he's hurt legitimately with his eye, apparently. So I don't know about what the Bloodline is as far as the tag team division, but we're just going to have to see. There was a number one contender match, or there's going to be a number one contenders match this Friday, but we'll move forward when it comes to that later on in the show. But for right now, let's talk about Solo Sikoa. All right. Solo Sikoa had a fantastic showing at SummerSlam. I think last week we all agreed that it was arguably his best match that he put on since being on the main roster, and arguably his best match for you guys because you guys didn't really get to see him in NXT much. So definitely his best showing. And now all of a sudden, he's just taking a big turn for the worst right now. He opens SmackDown, interrupting Cody Rhodes that he wants a title shot, just gets absolutely cooked on the mic by Cody Rhodes. Later on, he calls out Roman Reigns to end SmackDown, and this Roman annihilates the bootleg bloodline by himself, grabs the Ulafala. He's then jumped by the bloodline. Solo gets the Ulafala back, but Roman then destroys Tongaloa with a chair. And then as he looks on, says that he is the true tribal chief, the OTC, if you will. So my question to you guys is, was this the right call? Was this the right booking for Roman Reigns' return? And how was it for Solo Sikoa and his outlook moving forward now? Gonzo.
I mean, WWE is putting on full display what face Roman looks like. This is something for a very long time that the company was attempting to do for, 5, 6 years, 7 years, possibly. Didn't work out, force fed to us. And here it is organically happening. So you continue that wave. You can't, I can't say you can't, but to see Roman come back in this thunderous wave to take out various individuals, I mean, he's on fire. Why would you want to disrupt that or ruin that? And if you have to essentially have Solo Sikoa be the individual that is taking the brunt force of that, I don't necessarily view Solo potentially getting hurt by that because, again, it literally took Undertaker, John Cena, all these individuals to dethrone him finally, and then also distraction from Rollins all at a pay-per-view, and he had to wrestle 2 nights to do that. Roman Reigns that has been built as this monster where to me, it makes sense as to how he comes back and he just dismantles everybody in front of him. So it's not out of character. It's not out of story for how they built him so far. I know we talked about this on the last show where it's a Roman beatdown. Got to have it, right? Got to keep pushing the new bloodline. And that didn't happen. But yet the crowd was still white hot for it. So this, I don't think, was a miss. You could have gone to where he got beaten down. You don't agree with me with that, with the possibility. But the reality is I care more about Roman Reigns than I care about Solo Sikoa.
That's the problem.
Is it a problem if it makes
Yes,
you
it
money?
is. That's the problem.
Doesn't seem to be a big problem with creative and also the fans for the majority of them.
That's the problem. I'll go into my rant in a second. Angel, you want to get down on this? How do you feel about how the booking was with Roman's return to SmackDown?
Yeah. I guess it's well known that I'm not a big Solo dude, but he kind of got screwed over, shafted, if you will, on this whole thing, in my opinion. I understand that Roman comes back as, the almighty. It's literally his gimmick. So I get it. And the fans love seeing him and love seeing him go crazy. And the little bit of screen time he's given back to us and action in the ring, we're all excited to see it. I'm not going to, disagree about that. But at the same time, you need the enemies to be just as good as the heroes. What is I'll use a Gonzo analogy here. What good is Iron Man without Thanos to fight against? Like, if you make his enemies weak and lame, him just crushing everybody isn't that fun or exciting. I get why they did it, but at the same time, it's not going to work out for them in the long run. They need to be able to showcase Roman's dominance or abilities, but still keep his biggest threats and enemies at a top level. And the way they displayed it, particularly on SmackDown, because he already came out and beat up Solo, if you will, at SummerSlam. Now he comes out and he just destroys his hounds. And I know they're jobbers, but I don't know. And the way Solo ran away, it just didn't have a good look. The Cody Mike situation, that's another thing. Cody just outdueled him in that moment. You know, it happens. But the situation with Roman on Friday was too detrimental to me for that entire faction, and Solo particularly. The way he was portrayed, the way he was standing by the ramp, he seems scared of Roman. It's almost like Liv and Rhea, which that works out because that's Liv's gimmick. Solo's gimmick is not to be running away from people. So even Roman, if they had it to, if they were going to have this situation happen, it needed to be more of a stalemate or something else going on there. And I don't have an answer for you. I don't know who could have gotten in the middle or whatever, but I just didn't like the way it ran down. So that's my opinion of what happened.
I mean, you both made good points. I'm not saying that Gonzo didn't make a good point. He made a good point as far as it took so long for Roman to finally be the top babyface, the John Cena, if you will. They wanted him to be the next John Cena, and he finally is. However, like Angel's point made, Roman Reigns came back at SummerSlam and already beat the shit out of Solo. All right? You come back on Friday and you do the exact same thing. Solo running away and cowering away, another point that Angel made, like Liv. That's Liv's gimmick. Solo has a gimmick of, now I'm the tribal chief. I'm the top dog. I'm the one taking over things. That's not his gimmick of running away, cowering away, and using his quote-unquote jobber goons who are not jobbers. The bloodline has always been and forever will be, no matter who's in the bloodline, the top tier faction, okay? So even if these guys are in there, they're not quote-unquote jobbers. Now, do people in the faction take the L's before the top tier guy, which in this case Solo? Yes, 100%. Solo lost for a damn year. He beat freaking John Cena and lost for a damn year, but he's still over. However, Roman Reigns coming back on SmackDown and totally obliterating the bloodline by himself, because to Gonzo's point at WrestleMania, it took all these people to come back to beat Roman Reigns. However, Roman Reigns still had the bloodline. It was tit for tat. Everyone was matched up. So it was the Avengers versus whoever, right? Versus the bloodline, right? In this case, Roman didn't need anybody. He didn't need his Avenger crew. He didn't need anybody. He came out and shit on Solo and the bloodline. If the plan is to have this bloodline civil war, Roman or Sol Sikoa should have displayed his dominance where Roman Reigns needed to have some backup. Regardless of what any show that Roman Reigns comes out of right now, you just seen with an entrance before he even beat the shit out of Solo on SmackDown, the crowd was erupting. They're behind him. Goal achieved. He's the biggest baby face in the world right now. No matter what show you do, he's still going to be the biggest baby face in the world. You needed Solo to get back on top. Because right now, I could care less for a civil war. Because according to what you showed me on SmackDown, Roman Reigns don't need nobody. So why should we have a bloodline civil war? Why should we have a Survivor Series War Games? Why should we have all that when Roman Reigns just beats the shit out of him all by himself? That's my whole thing. You essentially buried Solo, and in a second, you ruined his character development.
I wouldn't say ruined.
Ruined.
They're building this up for The Rock.
Oh, interesting.
So this is a placeholder, because again, the way that I look at this is Solo again steps into a position, and it was rejected, right? The fans rejected it, going along with the story. You're not really the OTC, but if we go back again before they did the pivot to make amends and put Cody back into the limelight of WrestleMania, right, to challenge for the title, it was Roman and it was The Rock. And so as we've seen at that, I forget where that was. I think it was Vegas, right? That the face-off.
Mm-hmm. It was Vegas.
It was Vegas. So, I mean, again, they were building towards that, and then there's the pivot, and it was about family in that moment. The enemy of my enemy, The Rock, then sided, of course, with Roman, but he made the comment, it's out there for everyone not to forget, do I take a seat at the head of the table? That's still a priority for the final boss. The final boss, again, has been built up to be this larger-than-life individual, and it required The Undertaker to actually take him out at WrestleMania. So he took out multiple individuals. To have Solo now, you have these two big figures that are gone. And so naturally, like an underling, he's going to attempt to take over and do whatever it is that he's going to do until finally the two big individuals make their triumphant comeback, right? He's a henchman that is attempting to do boss things. So to me, that's why I said I'm not totally upset with what's being portrayed. I don't think he's necessarily buried. I just like the story so far as I've been entertained. Now, the possibility of Solo one day being more than what he is right now, I think we need to see a little bit more of him being assertive in various situations. But you've had these two big individuals get built up so much that I personally don't see Solo higher than Cody. So to me, it would make sense.
That's the problem. The Rock's not here, Gons. Not yet, at least. And if you're building it for The Rock and Roman Reigns, that's fine and good. But right now, SmackDown has a problem with established stars going after world championships. You're recycling, right? But Solo was someone that was fresh. Solo is the one asserting himself to being a top dog. And you have Roman Reigns shitting on him, and then now you're saying that basically Solo has to be the sacrificial lamb because ultimately the story's playing off of The Rock and Roman Reigns.
He's a tribute summon for Gonzo. I don't know what to tell you.
You're still making it look bad, bro.
Bring my boy Gonzo into this.
You literally just contradicted yourself that you would like to see Solo, assert himself more. I'm like, this was it. This was it. Roman was alone. He didn't even have Paul Heyman with him. He came back alone and took out the bloodline minus Jacob. I know Jacob's another beast, but still, it's 3v1, bro. You have three quote-unquote healthy individuals, a guy who just had a world title match, all right, against one person, and you were seeking out this person. You knew he was there. Roman didn't even come from out of nowhere. He came down like a boss and shit on all of them like nothing. That's the problem.
I don't have an issue with that, though. That's me personally, though. I personally don't have an issue with it.
I have an issue with it just because where's the story go from here now? Am I entertained? Yes. Do I love Roman Reigns? Yes. Is he the top dog in the company? Yes. But if the whole end game here, or at least not even the end game, your end game, like you said, is Roman Reigns and The Rock. But part of an epic storyline here is supposed to be a bloodline civil war. What's civil war? Why recruit anybody else? Because Roman Reigns can take care of it all. Because he just did it. He showed us twice already. So why should I be intrigued? Oh man, what's going to happen on SmackDown on Friday? Is Roman Reigns going to do it again? Probably, because that's what you're telling me is going to happen.
So I'm more on the Mark side of this, but I will say, let's give it another week or two before we totally rip this apart. Let's just see. But so far, it's leaning towards, for me, like what Mark is saying, more. But I think we still have to let it breathe and see what happens. And you know me, I'm not Solo guy. So, but we'll see. Let's see what happens.
For sure. I agree. I'm just saying you want to build your stars. Early, it is very early. I'm sure we're going to get there. 100% we're going to get there.
I hope we get there. Yeah.
We are. I mean, we are. I'm just saying the way I would have booked it, man, is you gave Roman back-to-back godlike moments in a matter of a week.
Yeah. The fan service was real, right? SummerSlam, SmackDown. Now it's time to reel it back and let's go back into real story mode. Hopefully that happens. I feel like the fan service has been done. We've served that.
Exactly.
Let's move on from it, right? Let's get some real story.
If Solo doesn't do some crazy shit on Friday, you guys are really gonna hear me.
Let's see what happens.
We switched roles here, Marcus.
We did.
Mark's
we did.
On Solo more than me, man.
I'm not even ripping on Solo, bro. This is Triple H. This is your fault, man. The king of betrayals, you would think would be like, oh, I know what I'm gonna do. Like, bro, whatever. All right, moving on. So once again, if you guys are first-time listeners, we literally discussed this past week in WWE Pro Wrestling. So we had a lot of number one contenders across all brands. We had number one contender matches, future championship implications. So the landscape has definitely changed here across the WWE. So number one, let's recap. We got Randy Orton as the number one contender for Gunther's World Heavyweight Championship. The next one I want to talk about is Kevin Owens is the number one contender for the WWE Undisputed Championship. So no match was given. This was given on SmackDown from Cody. This was like a gift. Kevin Owens really didn't want to take it. We even saw a backstage segment where he was telling not Adam Pearce, I'm sorry, SmackDown, Nick Aldis, that he didn't deserve it, that he doesn't want handouts, but ultimately it's not his decision. And so we are getting at Bash in Berlin, Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. So is this a lack of contenders for both Cody and Gunther, which is why Randy's over there on Raw for right now? And we keep saying, rinse, cycle, repeat. And now Kevin Owens is going for the championship, which was also Roman Reigns' main opponent, and he's still entitled with the bloodline. So what do you guys think? Did he deserve this match, or should they have done a number one contenders gauntlet, number one contenders match, or anything like that for the SmackDown championship? What do you guys think, Angel?
WWE, it doesn't. We talked about this a little bit. They don't do. They don't really need number one contenders matches. They do them. They do gauntlets. They do tournaments, and it's fun. That's the way I like to do it more. But WWE isn't about really records. They mention them rarely here and there. But you talked about Solo's record for a year because he had to be the Shield for Roman and so on and so forth. Some guys just deserve it because they put in the work, and that's it. That's just the way WWE works. It's about who puts in the work, who's there every week.
Agreed.
Who's done this, who's done that. It's a different brand. It's not my favorite style. I like the other brand, AEW, a little bit more, is how they do their number one contenders. But you know what? This is the way WWE does it, and it's just what it is. And KO, according to the way WWE does things, I think he does deserve it. He's been the number 2, number 3 guy. So
right. I felt like this was just kind of the odd match out, if you will, because pretty much everyone that's getting title shots right now, this entire week, we saw number one contender matches. We saw, like a round robin for the tag titles. We saw a whole bunch of stuff, but yet Kevin Owens was just handed this one. So I felt like it was just kind of weird because we had a week's worth of number one contender matches and stuff like that.
You have to think about the titles themselves, right? The tag titles, they could jump every week. No one's really going to be surprised or really shook about it.
True.
And then Gunther's title, we foresee him having a long reign, but if he happens to lose it before the year ends, I don't think anyone would be like, holy smokes, he lost it. Like, it could happen, right? Cody, on the other hand, we have the I'm not losing the title till WrestleMania at the earliest agenda. So I love Cody, don't get me wrong, but he just ties up the whole brand and the whole belt of that brand. So what are you going to do with that? That's why that particular matchup, it's always just hard to book. And they probably are always, that must be what the writers are doing all day long, is like, how do I book Cody Rhodes every other PLE? Like, they don't know what to do because it's extremely difficult because he has to win or make it out alive every PLE. So they have to figure it out.
Before I let Gonzo chime in, sorry, Gonzo, I just want to make one more little point. So you just said it, okay, we have PLE, how do we book Cody? This is why I kind of said, is this like a lack of contenders or a lack of story? Because while we've been wanting Cody Rhodes to be champion, I feel like we have yet to have that epic title defense feud, right? Where it's, I feel like Braun Breaker is getting more with Sami Zayn as opposed to Cody Rhodes' his opponents.
Cody had it a little bit with AJ, but I mean, I don't think it's a lack of contenders. You're probably going to see, I mean, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but you're probably going to see KO turn heel a little bit here, maybe go against Cody, and we'll see how that whole thing breaks up. But I don't know. I don't think it's a lack of contenders per se. I think the story is kind of, hopefully now that we're heading towards more, the end of the year season, we'll see a better story, because this summer era of WWE is kind of like throwing shit together and hoping it works. So go ahead, Gonzo.
Gonzo, how do you feel about the KO championship match that was handed to him?
It's good storytelling, because I like how they infuse Roman Reigns. They made mention, well, he's just going to, get the title shot. And KO literally had a conniption fit with that. Because, again, other fans out there are going to say the same thing. Like, what do you mean? This dude hasn't been here for how long? And all of a sudden, he's just going to be gifted this rematch clause. And I like how KO brought up the Universal title when he had it. He didn't get his ability to get his rematch, right? So there again, they're bringing into the fray, for those that have been watching the product for a very long time, hey man, that's not how we do it right now. So what gives? Why is it all of a sudden that he's getting that? So that lit a fire underneath KO. And Angel touched on it just now, and I was just going to make mention of this is you're starting to plant seeds that Cody and friends is no longer a thing for right now. Like these dudes are getting opportunities to go elsewhere. And for a while, Kevin Owens has had runs as being a heel, right? And so it just so happens that the bloodline, bam, you have multiple people that are trying to go against them. So we all have similar goals and aspirations. But the pity, oh, I'm just going to give this to you. KO is not about that. And you literally seen that. Or if you haven't seen it before, you've been introduced to it. And for those that potentially were wondering, like, where did this hard-nosed individual go? You're starting to see it again, right? KO doesn't take handouts. And so there is his character. You're getting to see that again. It's not just, oh, I'm going to come to the aid and we're just going to fight off the bloodline. So they're giving him his character back, I feel. And so with that, you're going to see some creativity here in the coming weeks to where you're going to have a little bit of the old school KO shine through. And I think that's what's needed a little bit. Bring some of that edginess back.
Yeah. No, I agree. I like the points that you gave it to us on that one. But moving on, there was a lot of, like I said, number one contenders stuff this week. So the NXT Championship number one contenders match has been announced for next week. We got Wesley, Pete Dunne, and Joe Hendry.
Say his name.
In a number one contenders match for the NXT Championship. So who wins? Like I even have to ask. Who becomes number one contender?
You already know my answer.
All right. I think we're all in agreement, right?
Say those
Joe
names
Hendry.
again. So it's Joe Hendry, Wesley,
Wesley, and Pete Dunne.
Wesley.
Why
not?
Okay.
I'll be the odd man out.
All
what?
Right.
He's heel now. What's the head shake for? You honestly think that NXT or not NXT, TNA is really going to allow such a thing to happen? I don't care if
Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock are in the match. Joe Hendry's winning that match.
Say his name here first.
Trust me,
that's right.
I love Joe Hendry, but the possibility again of Wesley winning this thing, not clean, by the way, because again, he turned on his buddies. So there's a possibility. Pete Dunne's got other business on the main roster.
That's right. He turned on his other buddies. Triple threat matches are no DQ. His buddies are going to come whip his ass for Joe Hendry to win.
Are they still on contract? Like in the door? Like what's going on with them?
What would TNA for like the Forbidden Door type deal?
Yeah, with what MSKs? What are they called? I forget their names.
The Rascals in TNA. They're in TNA contracts. They're not with.
I know. Yeah. But are they still working with WWE? Or
we don't. We have no idea. We have no idea. It's unknown. Anyone could show up at any time.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So that's what's going to happen. The TNA Brotherhood are going to help Joe Hendry become the number one contender. Also getting back at Wesley. So we'll see what happens. All right, moving on. The Women's NXT Championship Gauntlet Eliminator match was announced for next week. It was through a lottery type deal. So the winner gets a shot at No Mercy versus Roxanne Perez. So we got Ren Sinclair, Adriana Rizzo, Angel's Girl Sol Ruca versus Jada Parker versus Kendall Gray versus Carmen Petrovich. So who will become the number one contender, guys? We all know Angel's answer. It's Sol Ruca. So who becomes number one contender for Roxanne Perez's championship?
Go ahead, Mark. No, we'll do Mark. Mark, who do you got?
For me, it's between Jada Parker and Sol Ruca. I think it's gonna be Sol Ruca. Because
you're picking her?
Out of all the people that are in this match, she's the most popular. It's between her and Jada Parker. Carmen Petrovich is okay. Ren Sinclair's too new. Adriana Rizzo's so intertwined with the family. I barely see any of her matches. Kendall Gray, I really don't know too much about. So I would guess either Sol Ruca or Jada Parker. And as far as a popularity type deal, Jada Parker's heel, Sol Ruca's face versus heel, and Roxanne Perez. I think it's going to be Sol Ruca. Gonzo?
I can't say Tatum Paxley, can I?
No, because she's not in the match. Angel, so who you want? Sol Ruca or this fucking guy?
Oh, man. I have Jada or Carmen.
Carmen, interesting.
Yet. I think Carmen has a slight chance to win this, but it's probably going to be Jada for me. Soul's
Okay.
an obvious pick too, but I just don't feel like picking her because you say she's my girl, so I just can't say it.
Gonzo, what do you think? Who deserves it the most out of those women?
I don't know if it's about deserving. I guess like if we're looking at the potential of entertainment factor, right? I mean, because they did that whole Tough Enough where they're doing the combine and Sol Ruka had the highest rating, right? So technically for the fans, she is the 5-star recruit, right? So it's there for everyone to know. Jada Parker, I mean, Mark, you've been about her for quite some time now in
I
regards
have.
to athleticism, presence, the whole thing. I mean, I guess I'll pick Sol Ruka. Why not? We'll go with Sol.
It should have been clear across the board. We all know Angel loves Soruka, but I digress. All right. So WWE Tag Team Championship #1 contenders qualifier for SmackDown. So we had Down Under versus Street Profits. The Profits with their ass. We had DIY versus Pretty Deadly in a very entertaining match, but DIY ultimately advanced. So next week, on Friday, we have DIY versus the Street Profits to become the #1 contenders, and I assume that match would take place in Berlin, but that's just me. I have no idea when the tag team championships will be defended, but that's just my assumption. So DIY versus Street Profits, who wins? Who becomes the #1 contender? Gonzo.
DIY. Can't stand the Profits.
Man.
Knew that was
Angel?
coming.
Yeah, I
Street
know, right?
Profits.
I think Street Profits as well. Although I love DIY. Just saying. But
DIY
Street
deserves
Profits.
to win, but they're not going to.
So what I do like, if you guys notice lately how WWE's like production has just been on fire with the different camera angles, the referee cam, but I really like those quick little promos as they're entering for the next match. If you guys know what I'm talking about, when they're walking through, the gorilla room and they go out, but DIY's been doing that a lot. But the Street Profits did that. And they said it's been 4 long years since they've had it. They had to take a backseat when the Usos had the record reign. They haven't been doing much. They had that abysmal Bobby Lashley faction. I don't even remember what it's called that they were in. They're supposed to be the new Hurt Business, but now he's about to be a free agent. So who knows? But they've literally hit it on the nose. It's been 4 long years since they've been relevant. Everyone's been pushing for Montez Ford to do some type of betrayal, but it seems as though WWE has no interest in doing that at this point in time. It's time for them to get back at least. Whether they're probably going to lose that match against the Bloodline if they do become #1 contenders, but it's time for them to be an established tag team that is fearsome. So Street Profits is my pick.
Fearsome.
Like that's a word, I guess. All right. The women's tag team title #1 contenders match. We had Damage Control versus the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pure Fusion Collective. That is the new faction of Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, and Deville. Polymerization. There you go. Baszler, Stark, and Sonya Deville as the leader. Unholy Union was watching that match on ringside on Monday Night Raw. Alba Fire got super kicked in the face by Zoe Stark. So Unholy Union was like, nah, screw that. They get their payback and ruin the match. It was a no contest, which is kind of weird to me. They call it a no contest, but usually it's whoever gets attacked, that team wins. That's usually how the past has been, but I guess they call them no contest. So that results in a triple threat tag team title match on Monday Night Raw. So Unholy Union will defend against Damage Control and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pure Fusion Collective faction. Worst wrestling name in history. However, I am loving the women's tag team division as a whole right now. But who wins on Monday Night Raw?
We're going to go. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Damage Control. Interesting. I'm going to say the Yu-Gi-Oh! Team, Pure Fusion Collective.
The Yu-Gi-Oh! Team. Just.
Yeah, that's what I'm going.
Yu-Gi-Oh?
That's what Gonzo every night of his life. Streaming on Twitch, guys. But yeah, Pure Fusion Collective, they're pushing them for some reason. They're in a lot of story when it comes to the tag team and the women's number. So I think that's what it is. And our last
better on TV than any of those tag teams.
Oh, 100%. Well, I don't know about Unholy Union. Unholy Union's been doing work, but yeah, I agree with you.
Damage Control's been better, and they barely can speak English, and they're still dropping better promos, better performances. Their third just got put out for months.
Mm-hmm. By who? The Pure Fusion Collective.
Oh my god, that was a work. But yeah, okay.
I'm just saying. All right, moving on to the last number one contenders match that we had this week, the United States Championship number one contenders match. We saw Santos Escobar versus Andrade. Speed champion Andrade. Thank you, Angel. So we had Santos. We had Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews attack Legado del Fantasma ringside. Also, Carmelo Hayes got involved and cost Andrade the match, and Santos is your number one contender for David's boy, I guess we could call it, even though he doesn't wear his merch. LA Knight, yeah. So yeah, there's that, and the Speed Championship. We'll get to that later. I'm not really too invested in this. I'm glad Santos actually is in a meaningful match. The thing I'm not really invested in is Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. I know it's been a story that has been brewing, but I'm just not into it, man. Like, I'm trying to so hard, but I'm just not. But what are your thoughts? Was Santos the right call, or should Andrade have one?
I mean, what has Santos done here? He needed something to do for a little bit. I mean, he's been pushed off to the side for a little bit. I mean, Andrade's been having some pretty cool spots. I mean, he was on PLEs and he's been doing random things. I mean, Santos, on the other hand,
Latino Wars, bro.
I mean, thank God that's done and over with. But
Santos,
so you're saying so you think Santos needed it more than Andrade?
I think so. I mean, because Andrade, I think, can go away for maybe a couple weeks. I mean, because again, Andrade was a part of PLEs already with ladder matches, Money in the Bank, doing this, and he's also looked very well putting over Carmelo Hayes, doing a bunch of things. Because now you're growing that whole dynamic. He's a speed champ, so unfortunately can't be promoted on the main roster, as we found out. So I like Santos, actually. I like his music, to be truthful with you.
I love Santos, yeah, but it's just like he's been so invested into the Latino Wars. It's like, what are we doing?
Santos and Andrade could be a cool tag team together, to be honest. But he's part of
why? Because they're Latino?
Because they perform in the ring well. So was Carlito. I'm not trying to say Carlito should be in the tag team.
I know. He was part of the Latino Wars. He excommunicated himself. But that's what I'm saying. Anyways, all right.
Santos deserves it. Move on.
I agree. I think Santos needed it 100% more. All right. Once again, guys, we're going to take a little break. We're going to play some Guess the Wrestler.
Oh, God.
Miserable
it's gonna
game.
Be Gonzo versus AOK once again. Hopefully these jokers can get it.
Nah, dude, my win streak is on the line here.
I just need you guys to really focus here. Otherwise, we're going to have to just go back to Push Very Fire right now because this is kind of embarrassing. But for those of you guys that don't know, like I said, there's 3 players here. If you guys watched this game before, as opposed to just someone presenting it on social media. So basically, we have face-offs. We got Gonzo versus AOK for the 3rd straight week in a row. They haven't been able to guess the rest. So they get 90 seconds. Each one can either ask a question or make a guess on who it is. So here we go. Are you guys ready to play Guess the Wrestler once again?
If I have to embarrass myself some more, absolutely.
All right. I'm confident in you guys right now.
Gonzo, we're a team on this one, bro. We just have to get it. I don't care.
Just get it. All right. A quick update on the records. AOK is 2-0-3. He's undefeated. All right. And then we got Gonzo, who has yet to win. He's 0-2-2, and myself, who will be presenting, is 1-1-1. I haven't been able to play because no one can guess the wrestler. So hopefully I get to play next week, and I could be getting embarrassed and not guessing the wrestler next week. So good luck to you both. 90 seconds. Gonzo, you will ask the first question. We're not even going to do no paper, scissors, rock. I am just giving you guys.
That's fine.
I'm spearheading this thing. Be quick with your questions. As many questions as possible, unless you guys know who it is. But let's go. Guess the wrestler, Smack Talk edition. Gonzo versus AOK. 90 seconds. Gonzo, and go.
Are they retired?
No.
Were they in Evolution?
Oh, no. Good question.
Are they over 40?
Yes.
Do they currently hold a title?
No.
Are they putting over talent?
Yes.
Are they on SmackDown?
Yes. ish. Yes,
Are they actually part of the WWE promotion?
they are part-time.
Okay.
Is it The Rock?
Oh my God! Fucking finally!
I don't even care that I lost again. It doesn't
Jesus
matter anymore.
Christ. Oh my God! Thank the Lord. Thank the Lord.
3-2 for me.
Angel is still undefeated, but whatever, man. I get to play finally. I'm so excited. Thank the Lord, guys. I'm very proud of you both. Angel moves to 3-0-3. Gonzo moves to
man.
0-3-2.
Part-time. There were like 2 dudes I could guess.
The thing is, I had a feeling you guys were steering away because Gonzo asked if he was retired, and he's technically not anymore. But then I was like, okay, now they're just holding in on full-time guys, and I was just like, oh, I feel like I have to let them know that it's part-time.
Nah, dude. We got burned last week because you picked a legend, and we were so fixated on active wrestlers. So
Chris
that's why
Jericho every
time.
single week, and I gave you the person you guys guess, and you didn't guess.
I was in serious mode. So the one time that I'm not trying to troll and I get burned for it. So nothing beats your guess. Oh, John Cena.
Whatever. Angel,
right off
good
the
job.
bat.
Thank the Lord. Angel gets to present next week. Give us a good one. And Gonzo, get a dub, bro, because you're in last.
I like making other people look good.
That's fine with me. But all right, moving on. So championship matches this past week across all brands. We had 3, I believe. I don't remember. 3, 4. We have 4. We had 4 title matches across all brands this week. So real quick, we had the Intercontinental Championship match that main evented Monday Night Raw. Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental title. It was a 2 out of 3 falls match. I thought it was a freaking stellar match, dude. I just want to say that Braun and Sami Zayn have tremendous chemistry together, and they're both different styles. Braun Breaker looks like a damn 10-year veteran. Sami Zayn, say what you want about him being the underdog constantly, but the guy puts on matches, and he's making Braun Breaker look like a 10-year vet. But before we move on, Jey Uso tried to hype up Sami Zayn prior to the match, and they said that they will be going after the tag team titles regardless of how this match goes. Yeah.
Specifically, the tag team titles of a show they're not technically on, so they are traded. Then is that what's going to happen once this is done?
I already told you that, man. They're going to get traded
because he keeps talking about tag titles that he's not on a show for. So yeah,
correct.
Okay,
correct. I think him and say you got. We talked about this last week. You know,
we did.
The only way that a bloodline versus Roman Reigns bloodline works in a War Games Survivor Series match is if you have an OG bloodline versus the new bloodline. So I think the Usos will reunite. Sami Zayn was part of the bloodline. I don't think we're gonna get another signee. You know, we might to make because it is a traditional 5-on-5 usually. If it is going that route, so maybe Roman just adds one guy as opposed to a whole new bloodline himself. So, but yeah. 2 out of 3 falls match. Zayn got the first fall, and Braun finished it out. What did you guys think of that match, man?
Spear off the turnbuckle
to end it. Did you like that or hate that? It's like an out of nowhere type deal.
They just did it well. I don't care if it's boring or redone, but when they do it, it looks good.
Thank you. I agree. I thought it was a fantastic match, man. I'm telling you.
For as much as I complain about the spear, because everyone does it, Braun Breaker has adapted and turned his spear into something a little bit more unique. Because again, he's going
exactly. Yes.
You know, he's going off the ropes. He's building up momentum, and bam! Like when you get hit by him, I mean,
hit by a truck.
It looks devastating. So the fact that again, Sammy comes off the top rope and he gets speared, it looked good. It was fantastic. I was just very thankful that Sammy didn't hurt his knee. So that landing was a little bit awkward, but everything was fine.
I wonder who actually, you made a great point with the spear because that was something I was going to say too. I wonder who actually came up with that. Was that like WWE Creative or Triple H or something? Oh, did he? I missed it. How did he come up with that type of spear?
He was working. Oh man, who was he working with? I don't know if it was what's the Heart Foundation chick, Natalia?
Yeah.
He was working with either her or her husband, or like in their training place,
Their
or whatever.
dojo. Yeah.
Something like that. And he was
Mhm.
going off the ropes, and they were timing him, and they were like, "Dude, this is one of the fastest timings we've ever seen." And they just started. He's like, "Oh yeah, like I just started to just practice it," and they started to time me without me even asking them to time me, and it just became this thing of like they couldn't believe it, and it's like the fastest they've ever seen, and blah blah blah. And then I think one of them told him to implement it into some of his ring moves, and then he just thought of the spear because it's the easiest thing to do when you're going 100 miles an hour. It's very hard to time stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much how he got it.
I would like to see him incorporate another OG move, like a clothesline from hell, doing that shit too. That'd be freaking nuts. You know. But yeah, I think that's awesome. It's very unique, Gonzo. You had fantastic point. So, all right, moving on. We had NXT. The rest of them are all NXT matches. So we have the Heritage Cup match. Tony D'Angelo defending against Charlie Dempsey. Ren Sinclair ultimately cost Tony D'Angelo the match. I can't wait till she gets her ass beat for doing that. But Dempsey now regains the Heritage Cup. What do you guys think of that match? And to me, it's always good. Love the Heritage rules, dude. Like,
no, it's a good match. I was
it's my favorite. It's my favorite thing in wrestling right now, to be honest. Like, go on. What were you saying, Angel?
No, it's definitely one of the best matches to watch. Like every time it's defended.
Mm-hmm.
But I was kind of surprised Dempsey won it. But at the same time, now I think about it, Ren has had this little push where everything she does works, and so I guess it makes sense that she starts slapping him and makes it happen and costs him the match, so on and so forth. So it's causing the feud between them. So I guess it works out. But yeah, it was a fun match. I mean, I really like watching those matches.
I hope Adriana Rizzo beats her ass.
Right, Rizzo.
Costing my boy.
I'm sure we'll see some cross faction matches from there now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Gonzo, you have anything you want to say on this match, or you want to move on?
Oh, you can move on. Heritage Cup is always very, very pleasant and entertaining because, again, it's all tactician. So you got to be very quick. You got to be very precise, and you're putting on a show. And hey, it doesn't disappoint.
For sure.
And everybody gets involved. That's what I like about it. The corners being involved.
Oh yeah, for sure. They need to bring a cup to the main roster for these guys that have like zero chance of being world champion. Just to have that in the mid card.
The Final Testament can be going for that every week. They'd be perfect for that.
I'm a big Karrion Kross fan now, so he better fucking
Yeah. He pulled his auto, didn't you?
Dude, him and Paul Ellering, bro. Both autos from that box were the Final Testament. At least Paul Ellering's a legendary manager. You know what I'm saying?
He's got the Legion of Doom, so he's fine.
But I would have rather have him pictured with Legion of Doom as opposed to him with fucking Final Testament colors, and he had the stupid F logo, But whatever. Ugh. All right, we had the men's North American title match. We got Obafemi Open Challenge, and Otis was the one to answer the call. Oba retained, but that was a very fun match. Otis, as big as he is, can absolutely bring it. It's
Otis.
Excuse me, Otis. But he could absolutely bring it in a one-on-one match. Didn't think he was going to be Oba, obviously, but great match. Do you guys have anything you want to add on that match at all?
So does Oba hate the family? What's up with him cutting them off every time they're doing a promo?
Well, the family did it to him first, remember?
Did they? Oh, okay. I don't recall.
Last week, so he did it this time, especially after a loss.
He did it to them when he drove out. Didn't he do it to them at?
They've been doing it back and forth to each other. So I guess they're teasing, D'Angelo versus Oba.
That's what I'm saying.
I would guess.
Something there, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure, 100%. And Oba looks unstoppable. So I mean, it's got to be a guy like Trick Williams, like a guy that was top, or Tony D, someone that can equal his popularity to beat him. But Oba just looks unbeatable. Got his rookie card today, by the way, as well. But yeah, he just looks unbeatable. So I don't even think Tony D'Angelo could beat him. But hopefully he does, because y'all know he's my boy. And the last championship match of the week was my favorite match of the week, the NXT Tag Team Championship. Axiom and Frazier defended against Chase U, and Chase U ultimately got their tag team titles back in a fantastic tag team match. You guys know tag teams are my favorite type of match. Always entertaining, but this was just like fantastic. It was PLE worthy. What did you guys think? Was it time for Axiom and Frazier to give it up? And do you think Axiom and Frazier are done?
Yes, it was time for them to give it up. And yes, it's time for them to turn on each other. And yes, it's time for them to go singles or move on.
Okay. Gonzaga?
I mean, we're acknowledging the best championship currently on the roster. So, not the NXT championship, not the women's championship. It's the tag team championship. Why? Because Axiom and Frazier have been phenomenal for what, 5 months now with holding that title. So, those individuals have put on banger after banger after banger. And to be truthful, it's going to be Frazier is the one that I believe will, of course, hit the main roster before Axiom does. That's just my viewpoint on that. So
that's very interesting. He's trained by Shawn Michaels, but I feel like as far as popularity and a more marketable type deal, I feel like Axiom has more character. But I feel like both of them would be solid additions. But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting that you chose him. So very cool. Last thing before we move on to our next segment, we always talk about how championships are not really booked for the main event, and we usually have complaints about that. The Intercontinental Championship closed out Monday Night Raw, and the NXT Tag Team Championship closed out NXT. So
someone made a call and said, "What the fuck are you guys doing?"
That's a kudos. That's definitely a kudos. So definitely love that. I'm glad at least championship. I would have been happy with any championship that wasn't the Heritage Cup. The Heritage Cup is not something I would see main eventing. So I would have been happy if it was OBA. Would have been happy if it was the NXT title, tag team title.
You consider the cup a title match, though. They always
it is. It is. I just don't see like if you have your NXT title or the North American Championship, I wouldn't have put it at the main event. But solid. So good booking, not bad booking. So, all right. Moving on. The Judgment Day. We saw Rhea Ripley's promo. Says she wants her revenge. Liv and Dom interrupt and had a lot to say. Dom finally gave his explanation.
Nuggies.
Chicken nuggies.
He gets all the chicken nuggies he wants. He deserves to be treated like a man. He was embarrassed that he had to walk around calling Rhea Ripley mommy. Now someone calls him Poppy. He can play all the games and get all the attendees he wants. And Liv helped him beat Rey Mysterio.
He broke character when he was talking about the tendies.
How do you not, dude? I was dying. The crowd even popped for it, bro. It's like I'm shocked they didn't start chanting tendies, bro. I would have like tendies. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if that wasn't a promotion, WWE, like Dom's tendies promotion, like I'm giving it to you right now, bro. Like, how do you not have the hey, you can buy Dom's tendies? Like,
he needs to get a Tyson promotion with Tyson chicken nuggets or something.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. But yeah, so Liv says she took away her family, took Dom away, took the championship away, basically ended Rhea Ripley's life. Rhea Ripley vows that she will get her revenge. Starting with Priest attacking Dom in the stands, which was kind of like a throwback to the Attitude Era. It was very brief that they were fighting in the cafeteria looking area, whatever, but it was very good. I mean, Dom got thrown through a little table up there. And then Carlito ultimately saves Dom, which had Priest and Carlito. Priest obviously wins that match. So Priest is going to be tied up with the Judgment Day. I mean, he had Jaden McDonald last week. He had Carlito this week. But he was attacked by the entire Judgment Day post-match. I'm sure his final one-on-one will be against Finn. Don't know when that's going to happen. I would probably guess Bad Blood. We'll see. We saw Rhea save Priest, which ultimately gives us to our match that has been announced for Bash in Berlin. A mixed tag team match, Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest versus Daddy Dom and Liv Morgan. Yeah, we're calling him Daddy Dom now. Not Dirty Dom, it's Daddy Dom. Daddy Dom. So we're not going to make a guess on the match because we'll save that for our prediction show next week. But where do these feuds go? So we see where Damian and Rhea are currently tied up right now. It's not even about the world championships anymore. It's just all about revenge. You know, she's going to get her revenge on Liv Morgan. Damian's probably going to get his revenge on all of Judgment Day. He has to go through all the men in the group now. But who wins these feuds? What is like Damian's and Rhea's post Judgment Day outlook? Looking a little far ahead to the future right now.
Damian gets new music finally, I hope. That would be very nice. It sounds too similar to most of the Judgment Day stuff, and now that he's essentially breaking away from that, the timing of his biography also is very helpful. You're getting people to get behind him as a face, empathy, you know more about his character. So, you know, this match in Berlin is going to be a good one for sure. You got mommy versus daddy, Tendy versus, you know, PS5. I mean, it's going to be very entertaining. I don't see that match, of course, finishing under normal circumstances and stipulations. You know, I will say there's going to be interference of some kind. I don't know if they go as far as like tying up Priest and just unmercifully beating the shit out of him. It could, to be truthful with you, because Finn Balor now is taking on this moniker of a backstabber, right? So he's this very vile and sly individual. Ultimately, of course, as we've been saying for a long time, it was always going to be Finn Balor versus Damian Priest at some point. And so naturally, we know, or we can at least theorize that that's what it's going to be. But how they get there now is going to be the fun part. You're still going to probably get the chase of, you know, mommy going after, you know, Liv and whatnot. I'm going to say that you're going to see Priest and mommy fail much more in pursuit of all this. Of course, getting the fans behind them a little bit. I just don't know how that's going to look, but I see them taking more L's to finally get them to that point where finally here it is. Here's the stipulation match. It's going to be a Hell in a Cell, mommy versus Liv Morgan. There's nowhere to run. And here we go. Hell in a Cell with those two. Sign me up for that. I think that would be pretty wild.
I was gonna say, so like, you know, these feuds, who wins, who doesn't, like, do Rhea Ripley and Damian ultimately win these feuds? Should they win these feuds, or should the Judgment Day, well, the New Look Judgment Day, come out on top at the end of all this?
Doesn't this pose the same scenario as like the Solo Sikoa situation then?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, well, it depends. Are you saying like you feel as though like because the Judgment Day are the ones getting all the momentum that they should keep the momentum, or what do you say? It depends.
It's a new calling of the guard, and now the crowd has been behind mommy for a very long time. She is this presence, and she herself literally took Carlito out in swift fashion, kicking that poor man in the tendies. So, I mean, the way that I'm looking at it is you have mommy who's over, right? There's not a lot of people that can get in her way to stop her. You have Damian Priest, which, again, he's starting to tear through people, and you're seeing this raw athleticism, and you're tapping into his street moniker, right? Where he's not going to back down and he's going to pursue and get anything that he can. Now that poses an interesting situation here because Finn Balor is also starting to get on the rise. What do you do with him? Do you take him? Can he lose? I think he can lose, right? So
the only difference that I would say is I believe the Judgment Day are doing it right as opposed to the Bloodline, because the New Look Judgment Day have looked strong despite them running away and stuff. Liv Morgan is champion. Liv Morgan got them to be tag team champions. Liv Morgan has made Don turn heel after he was heel still. So it's like he made him an even bigger heel. All that has been into the positive in comparison to the Bloodline, where Solo looked strong when Roman wasn't here. Now Roman's here, and now he looks like a jobber. If that makes sense, if I explain that correctly. So I feel like the situations are not the same, because the entire Judgment Day, with the exception of Carlito, who just takes L's all day, every day, looks strong. So despite the Damian and Rhea just going after them for their revenge. So I don't know. Gonzo or Angel, what do you think of all this? Who should ultimately win this feud? How should it end?
One thing before he goes, I liked Angel's take last week where he literally said that mommy and Damian technically are the villains of this entire story.
Oh, for sure. He had a fantastic take because they started it all. You know, when Edge was the one creating this faction 2 years ago in 2022. You know, like they were the ones that were brought in as like the forgotten ones, the ones that were cast aside. So yeah, for sure. Angel, you were gonna say?
Yeah, and even at the end of their presence in the Judgment Day, they were treating everyone like crap. Carlito, McDonough, obviously Damas had his time that he hasn't felt the same, and then Finn being overshadowed by Damien and Damien changing over. But whatever, I'll move on from that. But as far as who's gonna win this, I don't think there is gonna be a winner or clear cut winner. Both of these sides have their own agendas that they're going to be going for. Finn is going to be going for the real title at some point in this future. Damien's going to be going for a real title very soon, either IC or back in the hunt for the heavyweight. And Rhea's still in the hunt for her women's championship. There's way too many goals for these two factions that I don't think anyone's going to really win. It's just going to be like screwing each other over. I don't know what's going to happen as far as winners, but it's crazy to me the dynamic between Raw and SmackDown. Look at Raw's mid card, as you call it, or people that are not going for the heavyweight championship. You have McIntyre, Punk. You have the entirety of this Judgment Day feud. You have Kaiser. You just have so many people. Braun. You have
The
Seth.
Wyatts. The Wyatts.
There's just so much more in the mid level of Raw. And SmackDown was just top heavy. SmackDown was just super, super top heavy. And then below that, and Randy's over here now too. Like, dude, they took the talent from SmackDown into Raw.
And Braun Breaker and Sammy. I mean,
right.
it
doesn't. Breaker and Sammy.
It doesn't stop. And Jay Uso's on this fucking show too. So
for now, but yes. So the mid card on SmackDown is just so heavy right now. So good. You can watch now. Now for it to be 3 hours makes sense because it's like, okay, they got the talent over there now. So I just wanted to make that case for the dynamic between the two shows. But as far as the Judgment Day, it's a great story, but I think there's bigger fish on the horizon for each side of this. They had to break up and go for their own stuff in the future. As far as how long it's going to be, I think that's more of the question. How long are they going to be screwing each other over for, right? How long is Damien going to be going for his revenge? How long is Finn going to be screwing Damien over too? How long is Rhea going to be chasing Liv and Dom and all that stuff? I think it's more of a timeline of how long it's going to go before they finally just focus on their own goals.
Okay. All right, then. So with that being said, this show's entitled what, guys? The Summer of Betrayals, right? So we had a lot of betrayals this year. We got Wesley, who just betrayed the Rascals following their NXT Tag Team title loss at the Great American Bash Night 2. We had the reason Wesley gave us his reasoning on Tuesday as to why he did it. Says Zach Wentz let him down, reference when he was fired. The Rascals reunited in TNA and left Wes in NXT. So Wes says he was just tired of taking care of them, that he was the one, booking them. He was the one having them strive for greatness, stuff like that. So we're probably going to get a match between him and Zachary Wentz at No Mercy. I would assume No Mercy. But he also wants the NXT title, which also leads me to believe, which is why he's not going to win. And it's going to be, Joe Hendry. Because of the whole Zachary Wentz thing. He wants his title, but whatever. But the promo to me, the betrayal was shocking, but the promo afterwards, his explanation, I felt like was kind of stale until the last bit of it where he said, wish some luck in his future endeavors, where he referenced Zach's termination almost 2 years ago, I believe. So that was pretty savage. I can't believe he did it because he was terminated for some crazy shit. But other recent betrayals, we had Chad Gable on the Alpha Academy, Judgment Day, obviously, with Rhea Ripley and Damien, Solo on Roman Reigns, Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams, Imperium on Giovanni Vinci, who's just not getting video promos now, and the Final Testament trying to drive a wedge between Kofi and Xavier. which leads me to my question to you guys. It's not a story that we're really too involved in. However, we normally just talk about like the main thing, bloodline, Judgment Day. It's like shoved down our throats, But now we're getting some other stuff. So Final Testament trying to drive a wedge between Kofi and Xavier. Will Xavier turn, and is it needed for them? Angel.
Who cares? I know New Day rocks, but I mean, this feud is just so pointless. Has no grounds. Has no actual roots of what. Just for even Xavier says, I don't understand why you're trying to do this. Like it literally comes from out of nowhere, and it's just like, oh, we're doing this, and they're attacking the New Day, and I know you have this whole like, they're out and we're in the new whatever. There's a whole behind the scenes reason why. That's fine. As far as will Xavier turn, probably not, because why should he? Why should he turn and go to the Final Testament? He'll just come down more than he'll.
That is my thing. So like, it's like, is the Final Testament just trying to break up the New Day, or is he really, really trying to recruit Xavier Woods, which also just doesn't make sense to me. I understand maybe Xavier's kind of reserved for having, I'm blanking on this guy's name, the potential replacement for Big E, but like, I guess that's the basis, because even as they're walking out, they're like, oh, we're going out with this guy. Like, really? Like, I don't understand. And it's like, if you're going to have Xavier turn, right, that means you're going to have a guy get pushed, right? Is Xavier really a guy that you're going to take seriously in the singles competition? Right now, it's Xavier? No. For me, yeah. Can he go in the ring? Yeah, but like if he turns on Xavier Woods, ultimately that means they're going to focus on Xavier Woods' story, right? I don't think it's needed, and I don't think it's worth it for him, because Angel just said, Raw? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just said how stacked the Raw mid card is. You know what I mean? Exactly. So let's just say it happens, right? Xavier turns. What are you gonna do? You're gonna job out to Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, all these guys. If you're even lucky to get a match against these top tier guys, because realistically, you're gonna be facing like an Apollo Crews, or you're gonna get fed to Braun Breaker. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not needed. Furthermore, you know how I am with tag teams. They're this generation's favorite tag team. Keep the tag team division stacked. I mean, if you're going to replace Big E, then that's fine. But like, this is just it's just unnecessary, and no one cares about the Final Testament. Well, I guess I do right now, just because. But trading cards. But I don't know. It's just me. Gonzo, do you have anything you want to add? Because I know you hate it.
I mean, it's filler.
Mm-hmm. It is.
That's really all.
That's ultimately what it is.
That has plenty of talent that doesn't need it, so that's why they barely get anything going.
I'm not going to say anything else. It's just filler.
Agreed. All right, so let's end it with this, guys. Your favorite betrayals in pro wrestling. We've been wrestling fans our entire lives. What is your favorite, or what do you feel like is the most iconic betrayal in pro wrestling? Gonzo or Angel, anyone, whoever wants to go, you could just give me, if you could just recall your favorite.
I don't have iconic ones. I have some that seem the most bizarre.
Okay.
Or out of left field.
Okay.
Ones you didn't see coming.
Okay.
First one I got is when Evolution betrayed Randy Orton and he won the World Heavyweight Championship.
Good one.
That one was very, I think, surprising for people to see. Another one would be Stone Cold when he shook Vince's hand and joined.
Oh, WrestleMania 17 joined the corporation. Turned heel.
To me, he betrayed the fans, or the people. Not so much a faction or.
Of course, yeah,
same vibes. Another one would be when JBL betrayed Farouk and became a solo.
Broke my heart, dude. APA
all these years.
Oh man, I love the APA, bro. God, dude,
they should have had a great solo run.
They should have been so much bigger, bro. God.
Yeah, but that was a big breakup for our generation, because the APA was such an iconic tag team.
Iconic tag team, dude.
Run, so.
Yeah.
And then the last one I have, it's gonna be pretty sad to say, but I think I gotta say it. The most outrageous turn ever was lead out of Matt Hardy with Edge.
Oh, yo, that's fucked up,
In real
bro.
life.
Yeah, that's fucked up. That's fucked up.
Betrayal.
Damn. All
It's
right,
dirty.
Gonzo, do you have any ones that you want to bring to light for yourself that you liked?
Yeah. I've only got 3.
Okay.
These were not the most iconic ever, but they were definitely intriguing for me. So I'll just start off with the elephant in the room, Raw 2014. It was the chair shot heard around the world when Seth Rollins
Seth
annihilated
Rollins, the bait, yep.
lays waste to his Shield brethren. The one after that, which I found rather entertaining as well, is Clash of Champions 1990, where you have the 4 horsemen come out, and the 4 horsemen are comprised of Ole Anderson, Arn Anderson, Ric Flair, and Sting. This is literally a 12 to 15 minute onslaught of kicking Sting out of the 4 horsemen, and he is belittled, berated, and it's definitely a sight to see. So if you want to YouTube that, it's Clash of Champions 1990. So Jim Cornette and Jim Ross actually do an initial behind the stage before the 4 horsemen come out. And again, both those individuals are super young because, again, this is 34 years ago. Just throwing that out there. I'm showing my age. So the last one that I had found really entertaining as well, WCW Super Brawl 1998. It is the Steiner brothers versus the Outsiders, which are a part of the NWO at this point. Scott Steiner turns heel and betrays his brother as they do their fantastic pose where Rick Steiner is underneath Scott. And all of a sudden, Scott just hits him in the back of the head. The crowd goes nuts. The pop, it was pretty wild. There was a slight delay, but then as soon as you understood what was happening, the crowd just goes into an uproar. And so those are the 3 that I just wanted to throw out there for everyone that's listening or watching us tonight. If you want to YouTube them, definitely. So something to consider.
No, yeah, for sure. Those were all great moments. I mean, we could sit here for hours and just dissect every, screw job and betrayal we could think of. But obviously, let's get that one out the way. The Montreal screw job, iconic. I mean, that's probably a given for everybody. It's got to be number 1. Even fair weather fans, people that only watch wrestling here and there, just Montreal screw job. Oh shit, that's Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Vince McMahon. That's a big one. Hulk Hogan turning on the fans, going to WCW, and obviously forming one of the greatest factions of all time, the NWO. That's a good one. One of them was my kind of favorite is Paul Bearer betraying The Undertaker at SummerSlam. Forgot which. No, so Kane came later. So it was SummerSlam. So he screwed him, and he then managed Mankind. Back when Mankind was wearing like the brown gear before he went to the white with the tie and all that stuff. Paul Bearer again, screwing that and coming out with The Undertaker. That's a good one. Dirty Dom betraying his dad at Clash of the Castle after the Judgment Day was just whipping his ass for months and months and months. Sami Zayn betraying the Bloodline. And one of my favorites, KO betraying Chris Jericho in the List of Jericho days, which you just didn't see coming.
Is that the Friends or the Friends Fest or whatever?
Oh yeah, the Friends Fest. That shit was just absolutely nuts to me. But just like out of nowhere type deals, you know what I mean? But out of everything we just said, we're gonna go with the kids. And the one that I think I wanted to say and I wanted to end the show with is my favorite is Shane McMahon betraying Vince McMahon and showing up on Monday Night Nitro and buying WCW under his nose, ultimately igniting arguably my favorite storyline of all time, the Invasion with WCW, ECW Alliance. That shit was nuts because we're here with the clicker going back, like, wait a minute. You got Shane on WCW. You got freaking Vince McMahon on, like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? That shit was just nuts to me. So for you kids want to see that, we got to do that. There was no YouTube for us to figure it out. We had to flip channels and be like, what is going on right now? So that was pretty nuts.
If you were super privileged, you had a television that could do split screen and you could watch simultaneously.
Yeah, for sure. So
Insurrection.
There you go. But yeah, that was just nuts to me. Like, the McMahons, the biggest wrestling family in the world, the richest, and you had Shane just bite under his nose. Like, that's some storytelling right there. So, but that's just me. All right, guys. If you guys have nothing else, final thoughts. Angel, do you want to give us your closing statements on the Speed Division?
Jesus. It's routine at this point.
So they keep burying this division a little bit, even for itself. Austin Theory faced Tez, and they tied or drew. So Javon gets a free pass all the way to the semifinals. And
Really?
he will face the winner of Wilds and Pete Dunne. Whoever wins that faces Javon, and whoever wins that matchup will face Andrade for the Speed title. That's it. There's nothing else to talk about right now.
All right, do you have any other final thoughts?
Did I have another one? No, the Jay and Zayn thing was something I wanted to bring up, but we already talked about it enough.
Okay.
I think that's it. I don't really have any final thoughts this week. I'm good.
Cool. Gonzo, final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't take time to actually talk about my new favorite super heel. So it is the Tsunami himself, Big Bronson Reed. He provided another breathtaking 5 to 7 tsunamis.
R-Truth?
Yeah, he does it to Seth Rollins, gets him out of the way, breaks his ribs, cartilage, spitting up blood. A week goes by again, and I was screaming from the floor of my house, another one. And my wife is looking. They're like, you do realize they can just simply drag that corpse out of the ring to prevent this, man from squishing him. I said,
she just doesn't understand.
I said, that's not the point. And sure enough, every time the crowd is into it, and this man has been written off for a while. And within 2 weeks now, he has made his way with 15 tsunamis and has won over the crowd and then some. So that was my final point that I just wanted to make. He did it to Seth Rollins, main event superstar, and now he just got done squishing the beloved R-Truth.
Another mid-card session that makes Raw even better.
Agreed. The reason I didn't bring it up, Gonzo, was because you got it done in 15 seconds. So
squish.
Jill is watching. Rude Marcos, I'm learning. You are, and I'm very proud of you. So go look up when Shane McMahon bought WCW under his dad's nose. It's great stuff. Mistakes from today. Couldn't remember his name. His name is Odyssey Jones. That's Big E's potential replacement. Like anyone cares. I was kind of disappointed that I didn't see Wyatt 6 come out. I only saw another little video package, which was kind of disappointing to me. Especially with no Gable. I guess maybe that's why, because Gable wasn't there and American Made was without Gable. So I thought that was kind of weird, especially since they've been so dominant on TV. And
that's where Maxine got jumped, right?
Yeah.
You know what happened? It was the Alpha Academy that was part of that story this week.
Correct. And last thing, I kind of piggybacking off of Gonzo when it comes to Bronson Reed. The person that it was done to, The Miz. This poor guy just
he must be cashing some checks, dude.
I just don't understand. So like we talk about, I don't want to spend way too much time on it, but we talk about how it's kind of been the same thing for like 4 years. Roman Reigns' opponents are now becoming Cody Rhodes' opponents. With the exception of the World Heavyweight Championship on Raw, it's all the same stuff. The Miz is a 2-time Grand Slam champion. The Miz drops promos better than 90% of the roster. The Miz puts over constantly. And now you have him on R-Truth level, my guy. Like,
did you hear when R-Truth said to him that Are you upset because you didn't have a match for SummerSlam? He literally said in your
yeah,
hometown. They're acknowledging his fall. They're acknowledging it.
Yeah, but that's just my thing, man. I'm like, Miz, obviously WWE is the place to be, in pro wrestling. But I feel like Miz is now falling into the category of this is not the place for him because he's not getting the respect he deserves. If he goes to TNA or AEW, this guy's a fucking world champion and he's shitting on 90% of that those guys' rosters. And it's like, maybe go and reinvent yourself or something because this is just not it. Put him on SmackDown. Could you imagine? I want you to give me heel Miz against Cody Rhodes. Those promos, bro.
That'd be great.
Those promos and those matches, bro.
Him and LA Knight. Him and LA Knight would be
phenomenal.
Yes. That'd be a great rivalry.
Like
better than what's going on right now.
Angel said it right now. Raw is stacked. Mid-card and up. Raw is stacked. If they're gonna make a trade, put Miz in that trade too. Like, get him on SmackDown. Give me a Cody. I bet you we talked about Cody's lacking a substantial feud. Give me heel Miz versus Cody Rhodes.
I'd love to watch that.
Miz I'm just saying.
Off on the mic.
100%.
He would shit on Cody Rhodes on the mic.
100%. But that is my final thoughts of the week. Give Miz his damn due. Otherwise, good luck to his future endeavors. All right, guys. So that wraps up episode 26 of the Smack Talk Wrestling Podcast. We appreciate you guys watching. But before we go, Angel, why don't you tell everyone where we can find you and what you got going on?
You can find me on all socials, but it's live streaming on Kick and Twitch at _OK Gaming. That's _OK Gaming. Watch you playing college football, Siege, Madden, maybe FIFA. I don't know, whatever's coming out in the next few months. But yeah, catch me on there.
Appreciate awesome. All right, king of the wrestling trolls in the Yugi world, Gonzo. Why don't you tell everybody where you can find you?
Oh yeah, no problem. So as far as social media stuff, it's going to be Instagram. It's going to be YouTube, of course. As far as Twitch, Discord, we're on Discord here of lately. We've been playing a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, and so my blood pressure has never been higher outside of this past week. In particular, last night, just simply trying to win a game that seemed to be the hardest thing in the world to do. As far as X goes, I'm on there too, not as much. Usually for PLE stuff, I tend to repost everything that the Pro Wrestling Kingpin tends to throw out there. But the David _MA_LCPC is for X. Now, the Raising _personalities, that's the name that you can find me on all the other platforms. So as far as all that stuff goes, I've been obsessed with Caleb Williams here of lately, so I continue just to gather as much discounted cards before these things in my theoretical fantasy world go up in price. If not, then I'm just going to be a traditional Bears fan and just be, very salty and miserable. So nothing new there from Chicagoland faithful.
All right. And for me, guys, you guys know where you could find me. Pro _wrestling _Kingpin on all social medias. Doing, like I said, wrestling card collecting as well. Pulled, the GOAT Karrion Kross apparently. So
Karrion Kross.
Yeah, that's my new guy now. So if you see
me for a Joe Hendry card,
dude, I would at this point, bro. But whatever. But yeah, you guys know where to find me. Pro _wrestling _Kingpin. If you guys have any guest wrestler ideas, even push barrier fire ideas, go ahead and feel free to reach out to any one of us.
To me this week, if you have them.
This week, if you have them, to Angel 100%. DM him, follow him. He's fun to watch on the Twitch. But yeah, once again, we go live every Wednesday night, 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Or if you're a listener, it is up every Thursday after the live broadcast. But until then, we will see you next week. And remember, if you say his name, he will appear.
The GOAT. The only guy that